accessibility for women will be improved by the ministry have suggested like a hub and spoke model. So there'll be establishment of 4 larger menopause specialty hubs providing doctors, allied health and nursing staff. And then there'll be the establishment of 12 menopause services providing a coordinator, allied health and nursing staff also. So our menopause service for the Central Coast is a non-medical model, but the medical component will come from Royal North Shore. So our patients can be referred on to Royal North Shore. So we've been given funding for the initial, the next slide now. Sorry, Brooke.
Yeah.
Should say Central Coast Health Menopause Service on the side.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Central Coast Health has been funded for a menopause service, so the non-medical model. So the allocated funding the ministry have suggested is for a coordinator, physiotherapist, psychologist, dietitian, Aboriginal health worker, and then for administration. And will be funded from the 1st of July and then ongoing funding each year, which will be indexed, I think, approximately by 2.5% each year. So currently we're in the service planning and mapping stage, and we do have a stakeholder working party, which we've had 1 meeting and we have our 2nd meeting tomorrow, which is a combination of people. We do have 2 GPs from the Community Women's Health Centre at Wyoming as part of our stakeholders, a gynaecologist, Aboriginal health cancer care coordinator, cancer care nurse, women's health consumer, women's health physios. So we have quite a diverse working party, which is great. But if anyone else is interested, we're more than happy to have anybody else on board. Now,
Kelly,
the Royal North...
Kelly, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We are trying to deal with this. I'm moving your slides, but no one else can see me moving your slides.
Sorry, I've just worked it out. I think we all individually can actually move it.
Okay.
It must be the new Teams update. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not letting me do anything here. Yeah.
so we're on CCLHD.
Yeah, so go to the next one now, Royal North Shore Hub. I don't like that update.
So you'll need to move. Oh, I don't know. It says Jace on it.
Hey guys, it's allowing me to. It's allowed me to take control.
Oh.
And when I'm moving it, is everyone seeing it? Sorry, I wasn't sure. I was just trialing and erroring.
Well done. We're up to you've got proposed hub and spoke model. So if you can move forward a little.
One more?
Yeah, and then go again to the Royal North Shore Hub.
Sure, give me a second. Is that the right one?
Next one. Perfect. That's it.
Okay, thank you. So the Royal North Shore Hub is a funded, so it'll be a medical model. Now, as you know, Royal North Shore currently has a menopause service. They've been provided funding for extra 1.2 FTE, extra medical funding to enhance that existing service as part of this new funding, and also some extra physio as well and nursing staff. So our menopause service will be aligned with the Royal North Shore Hub for the severe and complex ladies. So if our patients would be triaged and then would see, if they needed to see physio, psychologist, dietitian, they would be seen on the coast. If they needed any medical attention, they would be referred on to the Royal North Shore Hub, which can be either face-to-face or virtual. Far West New South Wales and Far West Sydney will also be aligned with that Royal North Shore Hub.
Okay.
So the next slide, who has control? That last one. So the menopause service planning is in progress with the ACI and our stakeholder working party to develop an optimal menopause service under a non-medical model for the Central Coast. So next Thursday is a hub and surface process planning day at Royal North Shore with Central Coast, Far West New South Wales and Far West Sydney, just to see how we can work together as a hub and a service. We're awaiting ACI to complete the model of care for the new service and hub. There's a menopause task force and there's a menopause clinician reference group. Oh, that's Margaret. And then we plan to update the Central Coast Health Pathways to include treatment management and referral process for the severe and complex patients. And Royal North Shore's hubs planning are currently working on a severe and complex guideline to go onto the health pathways, and as well some of the model of care, the new model of care that they're developing will probably go onto our pathways as well. We're also planning to provide menopause education to primary care virtually and face-to-face by our staff specialists, endocrinologists and gynecologists through Central Coast Health and through the PHN. And I noticed with PHN, Dr. Rod Babers from the Royal North Shore Hub has it's at Crown Plaza, I think it was. I saw through the PHN is doing a GP evening, which I'm sure he'll mention the new menopause service and hub. So that is the funding and planning in a nutshell. So do you have any questions at all?
And just noting, I think Dr. Margaret Layton has joined us.
Okay. Do you have any any feedback, Margaret? I don't know if she's on.
I think Margaret's microphone's still muted.
Yeah. I'll just quickly call her and see if she's. Oh, you rang through? Yeah. Okay. All right.
I don't think I've got anything else to add except that it's a fairly fluid trying to work out exactly what would be the best model.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've got it says I'm through, but I don't know why it won't let me. I'm on mute.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, I can hear other people and I can type things if necessary.
Okay. Yeah, Margaret said she's not on mute, but it's not coming through. Okay, there's nothing. Does anyone have any questions for Margaret while I have her on the phone?
No, I was just wondering whether it's going to be for menopause. Is there any opportunity for looking just before menopause?
So you mean perimenopause?
Perimenopause, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you want to add anything to that, Margaret?
No, I think the option there is just going to depend on resources, but perimenopause with symptomatic women and women with early menopause will definitely be included.
Yeah. Okay. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Ministry of ideally targeted for severe and complex, but the Royal North Shore Hub currently, well, the menopause service that exists currently see everybody in the end. It just means that the patients are triaged. Like if they're not as complex, obviously they're triaged and not seen as quick, but they don't turn anyone away at this stage. That might change as time progresses, but yeah, so that's where it's even doing the consumer feedback with ladies. It's some feel like they might be managed with hormone replacement therapy, but still having horrendous side effects and don't know where to go. So yeah, so
Kelly, you might say that the idea is that the final medical side is the hub at the moment. That's where the funding is. There is no funding for local services other than that we fit in currently. So, and that's the model at the moment. We're still open to assisting in any way we can, but the actual medical time is given to the hub.
Yeah, that's right. They've got the medical model, we've got the non-medical model.
Which is why getting on-ground education and resources and where the primary care can refer to is very important.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree. The education component is really important, and especially non-drug sponsored education.
Yes,
because there's been a lot of changes in the menopause, management, as well as with the osteoporosis as well. So I think more education. So I know we're not talking about the osteoporosis, but certainly we've found the letters received back from the specialist for the osteoporosis clinic are really helpful and very educational, especially with that shift, more towards the bisphosphonates away from Prolia. Because I think a lot of GPs there are just doing 6 monthly Prolia injections, whereas it's not necessarily the best management, especially for vertebral fracture risk. So I think more education to GPs would be fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also just to add in there too, the cluster infusions have been an issue for us with the closure of the private cluster infusion sonic clinics. So we've got patients due and we don't know what to do with them. So we're considering, like, I don't know if GPs can refer to the infusion clinics at the day centre at the hospital, or if that's something that is viable for GPs to do. When I say viable, it needs to be financially viable as well for us. Obviously, it requires a lot of time in the treatment room and nurses time and giving sets, etc., and developing protocols. So we're a bit stuck with it at the moment too.
Yeah, I did speak to our medical day unit. Unfortunately, they can't take any GP referrals. More, I think it's more there to a capacity, but will take specialist referrals only. So I did get in touch with the PHN. They just got back to me this week to say Reliance had started doing cluster infusions in their practices. So
that's
that there's only a few patients we've had where GP practices have done it for them. So I think the main thing with the medical day unit, when I spoke to the manager, was that there was no, like, obviously if a GP refers the patient in, there's no like medical attachment why the patient's actually in there in the hospital. So that was their main issue, but hoping that could change. But once Sonic closed, we knew that this would be an issue.
Because can we refer to the osteoporosis clinic, or it's only if someone fractures and goes to hospital that they get linked in?
Yeah, that's right. Anybody 50, we only can see ages 50 to 75 because our endocrinologists are at capacity, that come into Gosford or Wyong emergency with a minimal trauma fracture, and then I screen all those patients as well to see their mechanism of injury. So if you had a patient that you wanted to refer, they would go on the endocrine wait list rather than the osteoporosis refracture prevention service, because ideally we're osteoporosis really screening service to get them managed, where often patients are referred in from GPs that are already have osteoporosis and might have had multiple fractures and then need some extra advice. Margaret, you were just it was just echoing. Okay, I'll just hold the phone up.
Dana, sorry everyone, I don't know why this is not working. But yes, the day unit, because it has to be under someone in particular, that it has to go through the specialist. Does make it a bottleneck. I know that I'm looking into whether there's anything that could be done in private, but I also wondered whether the PHN would be interested perhaps in whether there's some way of funding a hub that could be used. I mean, I know there are a lot of infusions that are done in general practice, and maybe there could be some way of making that financially more viable. We'd be happy to take people, but it's just at the moment, and maybe that's something, I mean, it's just something that we're looking at the moment. It's been thrust on us all throughout, South Wales. It's everyone is struggling. I don't know if that's something the PHN would consider, sort of funding a central hub for primary care infusions in interim. Is that a possibility?
I don't think we can consider funding something, but we are trying to, we are surveying all general practices across our whole region. So the primary care improvement officers across Central Coast, HNE, whole region are surveying practices and finding out which ones do IV iron infusions and which do the zoledronic acid infusions, whether they accept other practices' patients or whether they only provide it for their own patients. And then all of that information will be updated on those 2 referral pages on both Health Pathways websites, so that for those practices who do accept another practice referral, you'll be able to see, so you can cross-refer. So that's all we've been able to do at the moment.
Yeah, I also know, sorry, that Sarah Jane.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Margaret, you're echoing.
Me, sorry.
Yeah.
Sarah James at the PHN, she's the Integrated Care Officer on the Central Coast, has also been having discussions, I think Kelly with yourself, but also Brisbane Waters Hospital, and I suppose it's definitely noted that there's a gap in services, as Erica said, which is why we're collating who is and who isn't providing what services. But it is a business, as private businesses as well. It's, I suppose, an opportunity.
And I think we're happy to, but it's just that our nurses haven't done it before. Is there some nurse training that the PHN could provide, protocols, all that sort of stuff? So we've been trying to get our nurse into researching protocols, but we're not really getting anywhere. And
We could look into that. Sorry.
Sandra Fitzgerald, who's a pharmacist clinical editor from HNE Health Pathways, is looking at whether there's any education that we could run, like a webinar regarding those things, Georgia. So yeah, that's also being looked at. We're just trying to find who would be a good provider who would actually be able to train people on that.
Yeah.
I work at an IPN, and we've always done the cluster infusions, and they've always had a protocol. And I guess I'd probably started to now wonder why other people aren't doing them, whether there's something I've missed in the, because I started there as a registrar and I only nearly fellow, but it's not that, it didn't ever seem to be that hard. The biggest problem is no one wants to pay over a bulk billed rate, and because you're not there, you're making $30 for something that's taking your nurse's time away for, I can't remember how long, but 45 minutes or something. Plus then if you miss a cannula, like every cannula costs. Yeah. And some of them are too hard for us to, like, I mean, I don't do as many cannulas as I used to. So you've got some difficult patients that not only have you got to get in this year, you've got to get in next year and for the next 5 years.
Because we do iron infusions and we work our way around that. But
yeah,
can we have a copy of your protocols?
Yeah, I'll ask. I know they existed. I know I read them at the beginning.
We just need a protocol so our nurses know what to do. Because so that's what we've been struggling with.
They're just there are some local health district protocols, like from Sydney. So like Southwest have their own protocol online, and if you Google it, their protocols actually pop up. So if you just Google a cluster infusion protocol, some of the local health district protocols pop up, and they're created by like geriatricians, Dr. Yusuf and things like that in Sydney. So it kind of goes through all the contraindications, what to monitor, what not to monitor, how to infuse and all of that.
Fabulous, thank you.
Kelly, can you say that the private companies actually provide kits? So really, apparently it's not terribly, reasonably straightforward.
Okay, yep, Margaret's the same. The private companies provide kits, so it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah.
We created a zoledronic acid patient information sheet for patients, so to make sure that they were hydrated, have Panadol before, Panadol after, which you know, we can share that with you as well. That's all been through the health literacy committee when you do start them.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, could you share that with all of us, Kelly?
Sorry, what was that?
I would anticipate the hospital will have a